Yesterday we have been talking about the digestive system and how does it all start. The really important thing I want you to remind of yesterday is that you have to realize that the eating habits in our country, mainly your country, they're not considered normal. Okay, I'm not individually speaking, I'm not attacking anybody and saying that that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if we look at the numbers, and we have looked at the numbers yesterday together, if we look at the five main causes of why people die in Mexico, and we have counted the numbers, and it's more than 50%, and it's all related to what you eat. Okay, and it's very sad that the government, I mean, has not been taking any preventive measures. Okay, think about what we have talked about the primary level of prevention. I think if we look at level and Clark and the levels of prevention to have a healthy population, the primary level of prevention in this matter, it's really not addressed. Okay, uh, can somebody give me an example of primary level of prevention, what the government is doing in order for people to be more healthy in this country? If we talk about eating, okay, is there anything that you think that the government is doing?
The
They do the
stamps.
sticker.
The stickers.
Sorry, Anna Sophia, stickers?
Yeah, the stamps where they say if it has like an excess of calories or like sugar or things like that. But I don't think they're well done because they do it for 100 grams. 100, yeah, a
Ah,
100 grams when like the portion is 30 grams or something like that. But I
oh,
mean, it was an initiative to help.
yeah, it's a good example, Anna Sophia. I think that's true. We can consider that a primary level of prevention. They didn't used to do that before, and nowadays you have some labeling indicating how much sugar, how much fat, and how bad possibly things are for you. It's not really working though, and also this is not really a Mexican thing. You know, this is worldwide. Okay, if any developed country is doing that, so Mexico is part of the World Health Organization, and basically they have to follow the guidelines of the World Health Organization, which is standard. But it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing indeed. Yeah.
Mister, I just arrived. I was on an exam.
Don't worry. I check it later. Okay, because
Okay.
don't worry. You will be forgiven a little bit. So yesterday we talked about this, how health is. We had a quick look at the mouth, how the mouth is starting digesting with saliva and amylase. It's an enzyme in our saliva. We also address certain diseases like mouth cancer, pharyngitis, esophagus cancer, throat cancer. All those cancers, pharyngitis, of course, is not that bad. It's like more a nuisance, you know, that happens to all of us. These cancers can be avoided. Basically, they're all caused by the same thing: unhealthy diet, smoking, and alcohol. Okay, is three main factors. The genetic factor is really not that heavy. Yeah, I mean, we that I know quite a lot about cancer, and if we talk about cancers of the digestive system, possibly colon cancer has like a genetical factor in it. In fact, all cancers can have a genetical factor in it, but it's not as genetical as, for instance, breast cancer or cervix cancer of the uterus, that is typically passed on from mother to children, you know, and prostate cancer as well has more genetical factor. So in fact, in if we talk about digestive cancers, you really have to consider here the environmental factor. And if we talk about the environmental factor of as a cause of this kind of cancers, then you really have to look at the lifestyle of the individual. And usually it has everything to do with alcohol ingestion, smoking, and the consumption of certain types of food, especially meat, processed food, this kind of things. Okay, we know that they trigger cancers. Okay, it's not a secret. It's something that is really well documented in the medical literature. So I think you have to be very careful with this in general, and especially Mexicans as well, because their eating habits are so bad. Um, So be careful, guys, because it's one of, like I told you yesterday, it's one of the worst cancers you can imagine. It's any cancer of the digestive system. It's very, very, very dangerous, and it always goes with a very poor prognosis. Okay, so then we arrive to the stomach. I explained to you a little bit how that works. That the stomach is a bag. It has some muscle, and the stomach is in fact the first place where the food arrives and where digestion really, really starts to take off. Okay. Um, what is important about the stomach is that it's something that you have to take well care of. Okay, a stomach is something that is in constant balance between the production of stomach acid and the production of mucus. And when you get an imbalance between acid production and mucus production, which are they counter each other out. You know, the mucus is destroying neutralizing the acid, and the acid is destroying the mucus. So you have a continuous production of mucus for in the stomach to make digestion happen, in fact. So a stomach requires quite a lot of energy just only for the production of these substances. And it's very, very delicate. A stomach can be upset very, very fast. And again, same story. How does the stomach get upset? Depends what you eat, what you drink. If we talk about sodas, if you talk alcohol as well, it upsets the stomach really, really bad. It's really well known as well that chronic alcoholics, they might have ulcers in the future, and they might also, their risk of developing stomach cancer is a lot higher. Okay, because the alcohol is able to alter the DNA of the cells, and yeah, people don't notice that in general. They think that they're okay, they can drink, they continue to drink like they always do, and nothing happens. But that's the nasty thing about any digestive system cancer. If you get the cancer, you don't see it coming. All of a sudden, it's there, and when it's there, it's too late. There's very little you can do about it. Okay, so that's the next thing. Yeah, so here you can see that a little bit. A stomach um, is orientated, so all the pictures you see is in the perspective of the patient, okay? So if you see here the stomach, you see that in the perspective of the patient, it's a little bit to the left side, the back, okay? So if you have acid or if you have reflux or something, what you have to do when you sleep, if you have always to try to sleep on your left side, okay? Because otherwise, it's more easily for the fluids to not stay in the stomach, and the stomach can become more upset about it. In case it happens to you that one time you got overexcited and you went to a party and you drink too much and you feel a little bit drunk, it's also always a good idea to sleep on your left side, because if you sleep on your right side, the alcohol will flow quicker to your small intestine. It will be absorbed more quickly into your bloodstream, and as a consequence, you will start spinning in your bed and you feel very unwell. So by lying on your left side, you slow down this process a little bit and you might feel better, okay? So this stomach, they can have ulcers. We said that yesterday. Another important thing about the stomach is that they have muscle, okay? The stomach is not only connective tissue, it has connective tissue on the inside, on the outside, and in the middle we have muscle layers. And our stomach has basically two sphincters. We call it the lower esophageal sphincter. It's the entrance sphincter. A sphincter is a circular muscle that opens and closes in order to let the food inside the stomach, okay? And why do we have those sphincters? Here, the lower esophageal sphincter, and here the pyloric sphincter, which is connecting to the duodenum or the small intestine. It's in fact designed in such a way to dose the amount of food that comes in your stomach, because your stomach has a modus operandus ideal, an ideal modus operandus. Entonces, to say it with other words, if you overfill your stomach, there is not enough acid to start digesting everything, and you will feel really full, you feel uncomfortable, it might even cause some vomit reflexes. So that's why your stomach has this sphincter, and they open little by little so that the stomach always, what goes out, then they let a little bit more in. Okay, and whenever this balance is disrupted, then you might feel bad as well. And that's the problem with meat, guys. Okay, because here you have a volume issue. Okay, if I eat, for instance, the same volume of vegetables and the same volume of meat, the meat has to stay way longer in the stomach because it takes more time to digest. But the stomach is not designed to only digest meat. So if you do the carnita asada and you only eat meat all the time, you might start to feel bad if you're not used to it, because basically it's not even good for you, because your stomach is not 100% designed to only digest meat. We're more plant eaters than we are meat eaters, okay? It's still highly under debate. What we really are. But if we look at all the characteristics from our teeth to our digestive system, the stomach, the intestines, everything we have, the length of our intestines and all of that, it seems that we were created by Mother Nature for being vegetarians, okay? Just only look at your teeth. Our teeth, they look way more like cow teeth, like bull teeth, and not that much like a tiger, which has very pointing teeth to rip down and break down the meat. If you look at any carnivore in our animal kingdom, you all know that. Look at the cat, look at the tiger, look at the lion, look at the dog, look at all these kind of animals, look at their teeth, look only at their teeth, and you see that they all have very sharp and pointy teeth. They have nothing to do with our teeth. That's already first indication. And then also, if you look at our digestive system and the length of our intestines, how our stomach is designed, the amount, the kind and the amount of enzymes we produce, it all looks to be more vegetarian than animal eater. You know, it looks like that we are way more herbivores than carnivores. However,
But Mr.
yes,
Like once a week on the weekends, have a massive meat day, like having breakfast barbacoa and then carne asada after that. Once a week, like Saturdays, that's fine, like once a week, and then the rest of the days, normal diet.
no, I would recommend something else, Santiago. I'm not, I think for the environment, it would be great if we all vegetarians, but it's not going to happen. But if you, I'm not saying you cannot eat meat. I'm just saying that the amount of meat you eat and the frequency of meat. So what you propose, I don't agree. I don't think it's a good idea to eat one day, let's say Saturday, I'm going to eat all day long week meat. No, then I think it's a better idea if you want to do that, that you choose 3 days in the week and you say, I eat meat on Saturday, I eat meat on Tuesday, and I eat meat on Thursday. Then it's way better balanced out, because it's never good to have a lot of one substance in the same day. It's always good to mix things. But that's what I think.
So do you think, like in carnes asadas, because I think at this point it's a tradition, like we won't stop.
I agree.
But do you think it's better for us to start mixing in other things? Like, for example, I personally don't love meat. Like I can eat it, I like it, but I just get tired of it. So do you think it's better to start bringing in more vegetables to mix in with the meat?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Emilio. I already do that because I got a bit tired of the carne asadas in Mexico, because I mean, it's so much meat. And if we do a barbecue in Europe, just to give you the other thing, I mean, we eat one or two pieces, and as next to that, there is all kinds of salads, potato salad, lettuce, tomatoes, red beets, whatever, cucumber. There's a whole lot of things. And basically, if you do the barbecue or la carnita asada, what you can do is try to diminish a little bit the amount of meat you eat. And it's also really tasty to put elotito. Or what I also really think is nice is red beets, You can put potato, you can put a piece of salmon. Even salmon is better for you than all that red meat. What is also really nice is zucchini, calabacitas. You can really nicely do that on the barbecue, and if you put some olive oil on it and some salt, it's delicious. And I think if you make the combination between meat and eating some vegetables, you will feel better. You will feel more energetic the day after. You will feel not so full. You will not feel upset in your stomach. I don't know if you do, but if in case you feel like that when you eat so much meat in the carnitas asadas, and then possibly you do that, everybody does, and then mixing with a lot of beer, yeah, then I cannot do that. I really start to feel sick if I eat like 3 pieces of meat and then like 4 cheves. No, I'm done. Really, I feel horrible. So
Yeah.
I had to learn that for myself because I mean, bring your vegetables, bring your elotito, bring your other stuff. Drink plenty of water in between because that also helps a lot. If you eat meat, the more water you drink, the more things are diluted and the better it passes through your stomach and stuff. So I think that's better. And limit the amount of meat because the meat, guys, it's not only the meat that is bad, it's also how it's produced. We overfeed the cows. Those cows, they are, when they're born, they get regularly antibiotic shots just in order not to get ill. So preventive antibiotic shots. They
Yes,
get
sir.
other kind of medicines, and all of that stuff you're eating, and they inject them with a whole lot of hormones just to grow as fast as possible so that they have the meat faster. And all of this, not only the meat, because if you eat meat and if you eat organic meat, that's a whole other thing. But it's industrial meat that you're buying and you're eating, and it's full of chemicals and medication, and all of that stuff goes in your body, and it has effects on it. Yes,
Yes,
Luis?
sir. And what about like eggs, like chicken eggs?
Eggs are okay. If the problem with eggs is that the yolk, which is basically the yellow of the egg, it has a little bit high cholesterol. But in fact, eggs, we think that humans have been eating eggs all the time. It's the same story all the time. You can eat of it, but not too much. And I think how much eggs? What are the recommendations? You could eat like 1 egg a day, or you can eat two eggs a day and then the next day no egg. Okay, so
So I only eat the white thing of the egg, like
uh,
without the yellow part.
For teacher, for example, I don't like eggs, but I recently found out that I'm fine with eggs if they're raw. If I add them to a licuado or something, I can drink them perfectly. Like, do you think that's okay or
yeah, I think it's not a problem. No, I wouldn't really know, but I think it's okay.
okay?
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
so. So let's continue. So the stomach has also these muscle layers because it does the same thing as the esophagus. The stomach can move, okay, and that's how you get obesity. In fact, the more you eat, the more your stomach will stretch, and the more you have to eat in order to feel full. And then basically what happens is you're eating more and more and more, and you will always eat more because your stomach will stretch more. That's a problem because that's why people that are obese, they have really big problems of stopping eating because they would feel hungry and bad all the time. So if you're overweight, what you have to do is make sure that your stomach shrinks in a natural way, and you can do that by doing sports, by fasting, by changing your diet a little bit. But that's a big problem. That if it stretches, it takes quite a long time to go back to the normal position. Okay, and also it depends what you fill your stomach with. Okay, our stomach is designed to have a lot of plant matter in it. If you only fill it with high density meat and high density oil and high density substances, of course, and then you're going to overfill your stomach even more, yeah, then you're good for problems, huh? Because if you eat a lot of vegetables, you can feel equally full if you train your stomach too. than with eating meat, because you hear that comment very often. No, no como verduritas porque no me lleno. That's just because you're not used to it anymore, because you're addicted to this sensation of high density food that gives you this super saturated feeling of the stomach, but that's not normal. The stomach has a trigger that it feels full and it feels okay with plant matter as well. Okay, guys, if gastritis is like an illness of the stomach, you have heard of it, okay? Gastritis is an inflammation. It's quite serious, okay? Because if we talk about the stomach, um, the gastritis, the inflammation is really difficult to get rid of because it's hidden everywhere. And this gastritis can be caused by inflammation, irritation because of alcohol, the kind of food you eat, or erosion of the lining of the stomach. And this lining is the combination between the acid and the mucus, okay? If this lining is damaged, then you get inflammatory response, and this is what we call gastritis, okay? Like it says here, caused by excessive alcohol use, okay? The long-term alcohol use causes gastritis in people, and people, they don't even realize it. If you smell bad from your mouth, sometimes it's due of the stomach lining. If you have bad breath for a long time, it could be caused by gastritis in the stomach and the esophagus, okay? Because of extensive alcohol use, extensive bad food consumption. Also, be careful with medications, guys, because Mexico is not really a big problem in this, but United States is. You know, people, they take too much medicines, but medicines are very aggressive for the stomach. In fact, whenever you take a medicine, it's always good to dilute it or to swallow it, and that's why the doctor also says always take it with some food. Why is that? Because the pill, it lays down on the lining of your stomach and it starts to sink in, and it can even create ulcers. Then the third reason of having gastritis, this is what I told you yesterday, there is this bacteria which is called Heliobacter pylori, which was only discovered in 1989 because scientists believed that bacteria could not live in the stomach because it's too acid for life to be there. But now they discovered that basically they hide in the mucus. So they take the mucus of the stomach into their advantage to protect themselves from the acid that the stomach produces. Okay? And then there's another issue that is called pernicious anemia. And this happens when the stomach is lacking vitamin B12. And B12, it is mainly present in meat, okay? So that's an indicator that we have to eat some meat, okay? Fish or whatever can also have B12, but B12 is a vitamin that you need in very, very small quantities that you basically find not that often in vegetables. We have another issue, which is bile reflux. We can in the when we arrive to the liver as well. Okay, guys, here you see a picture of what how does a peptic ulcer looks like. Okay, if you this is like a photo taken with like a camera that is put into the esophagus, and there is a little lamp connected to it, and here you can see this white thing, and this white spot is basically dead stomach lining, okay? And it's very, very painful, and it's caused by excessive acid. And what happens, in fact, here in the stomach is that the tissue you see here is dead. And it takes a very long time to regenerate, because think about it, how difficult must it be in a stomach that is so acid to grow new cells in a proper way? Because those cells, they get all the time destroyed again because of the acid. So an ulcer, you can only fix it by reducing the amount of acid and by changing your diet. The ulcer would only get worse if you don't fix the acid problem and the food problem that you're having. Okay, and that's the problem, because that's why ulcers, when people have them, they have them for weeks, for months, and they suffer a long time with this condition. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And peptic ulcer can produce cancer or or no?
Yeah, peptic ulcers can produce cancer. Very, very correct. Because like I said, ulcer is basically the mucus that is losing the battle against the food and against the acid that is produced in the stomach. Okay.
Teacher,
Yes.
it looks like melted cheese on pizza. It looks very good.
Oh, look. Okay. No, I assure you, it's not pizza. It's a person with a serious issue. This
Yeah.
this person is feeling really, really bad. I assure you. Um, so yeah, it's a battle basically, and when the cells are affected and the cells are dying, there's also cells that are just affected and they try to survive. And what can happen is that the acid and the pepsin itself, they can cause alteration of the DNA. And when the DNA gets a mutation or a translocation or something like that, it can transform into a cancer. So this is very dangerous. Okay. And ulcers is typically for people with overconsumption of alcohol on a chronicle basis. Okay, even beer can cause ulcers. If you combine that with eating a lot of pizza, salt, and meat, then you're a very good candidate to have ulcers on a later age. Okay, this to arrive at these peptic ulcers, it's not something that you're going to have in your 20s or your 30s. This happens when you're in your late 30s. I mean, it can be earlier if you're a really good consumer of unhealthy food, but it happens all of a sudden in the end of your 30s. It all of a sudden occurs. And when it happens, it's a long road of a painful road of suffering before you can fix it. And indeed, you have to start worrying about stomach cancer because you would be a candidate for stomach cancer. Okay, so certain people are obese, and that's because the stomach becomes. There's people that are obese, and if you look at this under the echography or something, you could observe that certain stomach of those people, they can grow to 1.5 times in size, 2 times in size, and there's even reports of people that had 3 times the size of a normal stomach, just of overfeeding. And what they do then sometimes is a gastric bypass, which is basically cutting away a piece of the stomach by reducing it in size. I think this is a very invasive and a very dangerous thing to do because, in fact, you're just eliminating a part of an organ, and I think you will suffer for the rest of your life. Yes, you become thinner, but it should be only the last resort thing. I think in Europe they don't even do it anymore because of the problems that it generates. If you remove a piece of the stomach, your feces, your poposina, to say it like that, it will never be the same. Sometimes you go to the bathroom and you say, "Oh, this is a clean one. I don't even have to clean myself." Those are really nice. Those days will be completely over. If you do a gastric bypass, you will always have this like very sticky poposina. Let's say it's very sticky. It's very, very smelly because you remove a part of your digestive tract. It will be always very smelly. It will be very sticky. It will be a different consistency, viscous, unpleasant, in fact. And that's read about it on the internet if you don't believe me. These are serious side effects of this kind of procedures. Okay, they do like 80% reduction of the stomach, which is already I don't know why they even do that. I think it should be forbidden in most cases. I think you should put people in quarantine or send them to some kind of center where you will only give them vegetables and like a kind of jail, and make them stay there for 3 months to 6 months and let them lose weight like that. But you cannot do that legally, that's a problem. But I think we should, in fact. I think certain patients, they go too easily to reducing the stomach and they don't really know what they're doing, and then in the end, of course, they will regret it at a certain point. I would really put them in some kind of hospital jail, even if you think it's unethical. And I wish they would do it with me if I was that. In some kind of hospital jail, just give them broccoli, vegetables, salad, a little bit of bread, some extra vitamins, let them eat like that. No refrescos, only.
So are they supposed to go to a fat camp? Like,
Yeah,
it's the
but
same.
yeah, exactly, Anna Paul, but a radical fat camp, you know, a fat camp where you don't have any choice. No, I no, but that's a little bit like a prison, you know. I would think, I think you think it's ridiculous, but you do the same thing with drug addicts, you know. You also put them away.
Teacher, but that sounds really cruel.
It's
No,
cool,
mister.
teacher. Let's
Drug addicts
go.
go to Cristo Vive.
New movement.
It's not cruel. It's good for them. Like
Les
obesity.
meten un globo al estómago, teacher, así.
No, but I mean, try to understand my point. Um, Obesity is an addiction, just like alcoholism or methamphetamines or smoking crack. Okay.
Yeah, that's mine.
Let's
just kidding.
assume that you're a drug addict. Okay. What do you do with a drug addict? You put them away in a closed facility and you let them go cold turkey in order to get rid of the drugs. I think that a lot of people would benefit of doing the same thing with obesity. I know that it's
Teacher, but that's legal. Like, people can do it. They just don't do it.
yeah, but that's the thing. You have to do it with free will, and you cannot oblige somebody to stay there, and most people don't do it. But if it would exist, if it would be my country, I would oblige them, because not because I want to be radical or anything, but I would do it because I think that maybe 70 or 80% of the people, when they come out, they would say, I'm so glad you did this to me, because now I feel better. I got lost of my addiction of eating, just like any other addiction, you know. It's I would do it to help people, you know.
Teacher, but no, so people always come from, like, most people, when they go out of fat camp, they finish having, like, trastornos alimenticios.
Yeah, but a ver, Ana Pao, this is more complex than that. I mean, you also have to think that people, they eat a lot because maybe psychological situations, you know. Some people, they feel abandoned. It, don't think that you just eat because you want to eat. I think it's more complex like that. I would put them in a camp, like you say, but I would give them psychological help. I would give them assistance. I would give them the complete package, you know, not just put them in an isolation cell and lock them up. No, that
Remy
would
for president. Whew.
no.
Teacher,
I would vote.
Yeah,
Screw
let's
it. Yeah,
go.
I would vote. That sounds like a good idea.
No, that would be
Unironically.
unironically. Okay, yeah, thank you. But yeah, I wouldn't do it be so radical. I would make it as pleasant as possible for the people, and I would give them psychological help, because I really think that obesity is a consequence of frustrations of I don't know what. There we have so many issues, you know. I mean, there's people that start eating because they lose a relative. There is people that feel insecure about themselves because they never got recognition from their parents or their peers. There is people that get in psychological situations because they have been confronted with infidelity after infidelity, and cheating and distrust and whatever. There is so many conditions that really makes a person go crazy, you know. So I mean, the consequences are a lot. Some people start taking drugs, other people, they start eating, other people, they start thinking about suicide. I don't take this lightly. Yeah, I would really like to see obesity a little bit more like, what is the true origin of obesity? Okay, is it the lack of movement? Is it the lack of education? Is it the lack of 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 psychological well-being? There is so much that could cause this, you know. It's not that simple. No, and of
Teacher,
course I would not just put them away in a cell and not give them to eat anymore. No, I would give definitely the complete package, and deal with the psychological side and the social side of this problem as well.
teacher, I have two questions.
Go ahead.
So, first one, do obese people last longer without eating than, let's say, me?
Yes, of course. However, I have to be very careful with what I say, because ironically, obese people seem to be often malnourished. And what I mean is that obese people, why are they malnourished? they are malnourished in the sense that they lack certain vitamins, they lack certain nutrients that they need for having a healthy life, and that's usually due because they eat a diet that is very monotonous. So obese people, they would, for instance, eat all the time pizza, or they would eat only meat, or they would eat only papitas all the time, and they would not never ever eat certain vegetables or certain fruits. So you would see very often in obese people that they lack certain nutrients, certain vitamins, certain essential things that you need for well-being and good development of your body, because they just have this one-sided food pattern, and you need to eat fruits, and if you don't eat that, yeah, then you see that. So that's very often the case, that obese people, they are malnourished, that they lack essential vitamins from A, B, C, D, to K. Yeah. Okay.
And I just have another question.
Yeah.
It's about like, perdón, qué tonto.
¿Qué
I'm
pasó?
sorry. No, es que no sabía que el silbido se escuchaba, porque mi flauta no se escucha cuando toco la flauta. Y pues al parecer la pluma sí. Bueno,
Okay.
I just had is it better to drink hard alcohol like tequila, mezcal, and all of that, or beer? And that's my last question.
Debatable, Emilio. Beer is the good thing about beer, that it's diluted already. Okay, so it's not high concentration of alcohol. If you take tequila, mezcal, whiskey, yes, the interaction between the stomach lining and your intestine with the direct contact, it's definitely more aggressive. So if you drink strong liquor, it's always a good idea to have some water in between to dilute that a little bit, because otherwise the alcohol burns in your stomach, it burns in your throat, and it starts to destroy the cells in that place. So in that sense, I think beer is a better thing. But the disadvantage about beer is that it's a silent cirrhosis maker. Okay, beer, if you drink it excessively for long periods of times, in fact, it will affect your liver. Also, strong liquor will, but beer as well. Um, and the thing is, with beer, you don't notice that. Okay, little by little, you destroy your liver, and we will see that on next Wednesday, because I think I have to invest another class in this. But over beer consumption creates very often the beer belly, and I will explain you where the beer belly comes from, and it has to do often with what people eat, but also it has to do with liquid retainment in the belly. And that's because the liver gets little bit by little bit damaged because of this recurrent and chronic alcohol consumption. And it's very serious, because if we will see that on Wednesday, if the liver is damaged, no way back, guys. Bad news, okay?
Yes, sir. And
Yes.
what about wine?
Wine, same thing. However, if we look at the numbers of the countries, if you look, for instance, to the life expectancy of people in Europe, you would see that the highest life expectancy is Spain and Italy. Okay, and then if you look to those people, what they eat is that they are high wine consumers. Also, south of France, it's very embedded in culture to drink wine, and I think that wine is possibly one of the better things to drink in very low quantity. So let's say 1 or 2 glasses a day, max two. It's in certain doctors, they even think it's beneficial for the heart and the bloodstream. Okay, because it's a different way how the alcohol is absorbed. It's embedded in the sugars. It goes directly to the blood. It's not that easily converted into fat like beer and other strong alcohols. I'm not saying that it's really good for you, but I really think that a little bit of wine now and then, it's possibly beneficial for you. But if you drink a lot of wine, you would get like red skin, and yeah, you would basically have the same problems than anybody else. in the very end. So also too much red wine is definitely not good for you, because it has some substances in it like sulfites and stuff that are which are then more considered in high concentrations bad for your heart and your circulatory system. Yeah. Okay, guys, we're gonna leave it here because I'm talking too much again. So we see each other on Wednesday to finish then the last part of, it's still a big part, in fact, the last part of this digestive system. And I think the respiratory system, we can do it in 2 days. It's anyway a shorter system. And I really think that digestive is very important. So any questions so far?
Mister.
The activity of the laboratories for this Sunday, right?
No, for next week, Tuesday, you have to do the review activity of the digestive system, but the lab you have until the 16th of March. I told you yesterday that you have a lot of time for this.
Okay, thank you. It's because it
Check
says
it, it's all in
already
Canvas.
Saturday.
It's all in Canvas. Okay, you can see the dates right there. Okay, so take care, guys. We see each other next week. Okay.
Bas.
Okay, Mister. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.
Have a nice weekend.